Early mornings decide more about fat gain than most workouts ever will. Before breakfast, before coffee, before the body fully wakes up, hormones are already making choices for you. Choices about whether fat gets burned or stored. Most people never realize this. They focus on eating less food. They push harder in the gym. They blame willpower when nothing changes. But fat loss does not start with effort. It starts with chemistry. One hormone in particular quietly controls the entire process. Insulin. When insulin stays high, fat burning stays locked. When insulin drops, the body finally opens access to stored fat. That is the real switch. And in this video, you will learn how a simple habit done at the right time can help flip that switch naturally, not with extreme diets, not with supplements, just 1 tablespoon taken on an empty stomach. This small action affects blood sugar, insulin response, and a powerful internal repair process called autophagy. Most people have heard the word autophagy, but do not understand how practical it is. Autophagy is not a trend. It is a built-in survival system. It clears damaged cells. It improves insulin sensitivity, and it pushes the body toward fat burning instead of fat storage. What almost no one talks about is how easily this system gets blocked by modern eating habits. Late dinners, constant snacking, sweetened drinks, even healthy breakfasts. These keep insulin elevated from the moment you wake up, shutting down fat loss before the day even begins. In this video, you will learn what that 1 tablespoon is, how it works inside the body, and why timing matters more than most people realize. You will understand why taking it on an empty stomach creates a completely different hormonal response compared to taking it with food. You will also learn what science actually shows about insulin control, fat oxidation, and metabolic flexibility without exaggeration and without false promises. There is drama here, but it is biological drama, a quiet battle inside the body between storage and release, between repair and damage, between inflammation and balance. Many people try to force fat loss through discipline alone. That approach usually fails because the body resists. Hormones always win. When insulin is high, fat stays locked, no matter how motivated someone feels. When insulin drops, the body cooperates. Hunger becomes easier to manage. Energy feels more stable. Fat loss becomes less of a fight. This video will walk you through that logic step by step. You will see how a single morning habit can reduce glucose spikes later in the day, why insulin sensitivity matters more than calories alone, and how supporting autophagy changes the entire metabolic environment. There are also important details most videos skip: what this method does not do, why it is not magic, who should be careful, and why consistency matters more than intensity. If you stay until the end, you will walk away with a clearer understanding of why fat loss feels impossible for so many people and how small biological shifts can create big long-term results. No hype, no shortcuts, just physiology explained in simple terms. This is the kind of information that helps the body work with you instead of against you. If that sounds useful, you are in the right place. Welcome to our channel, where we break down science-based health without exaggeration. Subscribe now so you do not miss future videos that focus on real mechanisms, real habits, and real results. Insulin is often misunderstood because it sounds harmless, even helpful, but in the context of fat loss, it acts like a powerful lock. Its main job is to move nutrients out of the blood and into storage. That storage can be muscle, liver, or fat. When insulin is elevated, the body is told one clear message: store energy, do not burn it. This happens regardless of effort. Someone can eat very little. Someone can train hard. As long as insulin stays high, fat cells stay closed. Fat-burning enzymes are switched off. The body simply does not access stored fat because it has been instructed not to. This is why calorie cutting alone often fails. The body adapts by slowing metabolism, increasing hunger, and holding on to fat even more tightly. Exercise helps health, but exercise cannot override hormones. Hormones always lead. Insulin sits at the top of that hierarchy. Many people wake up already trapped in this state. Late dinners, high-carb snacks at night, sugary drinks, and even frequent healthy meals can keep insulin elevated through the night. By morning, insulin has not returned to baseline. The body wakes up in storage mode. Breakfast raises insulin again, lunch stacks on top of it, dinner pushes it higher still. The entire day passes without the body ever entering a true fat-burning state. This is not a failure of discipline, it is a predictable biological response. When insulin stays elevated, fat loss becomes inefficient, frustrating, and slow. This is where understanding autophagy changes the picture completely. Autophagy is the body's internal recycling and repair system. It is active in all living cells, quietly maintaining order. Old proteins are broken down, damaged cell parts are removed, dysfunctional mitochondria are cleared away. This process keeps cells sensitive, flexible, and efficient. When autophagy runs properly, insulin sensitivity improves. Cells respond better to insulin, meaning less insulin is needed to do the same job. That alone reduces fat storage pressure. But autophagy does more than clean. It shifts the body into a state where stored energy is preferred over incoming energy. That means fat is used more readily. Autophagy increases when insulin is low because insulin signals abundance. When insulin is high, the body believes food is always available and repair can wait. When insulin drops, the body switches to maintenance mode. This is when deep cellular cleanup happens. This is also when fat burning accelerates. Modern eating patterns suppress this system without people realizing it. Constant feeding tells the body there is no need to recycle or repair. Cells become sluggish. Insulin sensitivity declines. More insulin is required to control blood sugar. Fat storage increases. This creates a loop that gets harder to break over time. Supporting autophagy means creating windows where insulin stays low long enough for the body to do its internal work. That is where the 1 tablespoon comes in. Raw apple cider vinegar is not a supplement trend. It is a fermented liquid rich in acetic acid. Acetic acid has been studied for decades for its metabolic effects. It does not spike insulin. It does not raise blood sugar. Instead, it improves how cells respond to glucose. When taken on an empty stomach, it enters the system without competing nutrients. This timing matters. Acetic acid slows the conversion of carbohydrates into glucose. It reduces the speed at which sugar enters the bloodstream later in the day. That means lower insulin release after meals. Over time, this improves insulin sensitivity with better sensitivity. The body needs less insulin overall. Lower insulin opens the door to fat burning. It also allows autophagy to continue for longer periods. The effect is not dramatic in the moment. There is no sudden rush, no stimulant feeling. The change is subtle but cumulative. Blood sugar becomes more stable. Energy crashes reduce. Hunger signals become quieter. The body stops fighting fat loss so aggressively. Scientific studies support these effects. Controlled trials have shown that vinegar consumption lowers post-meal insulin levels. Participants show improved insulin sensitivity over time. Fasting blood sugar decreases modestly but consistently. These changes indicate better metabolic control. Other research demonstrates increased fat oxidation, meaning a higher percentage of energy is coming from fat rather than glucose. This is exactly the environment where autophagy thrives. The body is not overwhelmed by incoming fuel, it can focus on repair and regulation. None of this relies on belief. These are measurable outcomes. Enzyme activity changes, hormone signaling shifts, cellular pathways respond. This is biology responding to conditions. Apple cider vinegar does not force fat loss. It does not override poor habits. It does not replace proper nutrition. What it does is remove a barrier. It helps lower insulin at a critical time of day. It improves how the body handles glucose later. It supports the internal processes that modern lifestyles suppress. When insulin is no longer constantly elevated, fat loss becomes less of a struggle. Autophagy becomes accessible again. The body starts cooperating instead of resisting. This is not about doing more. It is about creating the internal environment so the body can do what it is designed to do naturally. Taking it on an empty stomach changes everything because the body reacts very differently when no food is present. When food enters the stomach, especially carbohydrates or protein, insulin begins to rise almost immediately. This rise is not dramatic at first, but it is enough to signal storage mode. Even small amounts of food reduce the hormonal window where fat burning and cellular repair are active. When the stomach is empty, insulin remains low and stable. This creates a rare metabolic state that most people no longer experience during the day. In this state, fat cells are open, stored energy becomes available. The body is not distracted by digestion. It is not managing incoming glucose. It is focused on regulation and balance. Fat burning stays active because insulin is not blocking it. Autophagy continues longer because the body senses mild scarcity, not stress but a calm signal that repair is needed. Timing becomes more important than quantity here because the goal is not to overwhelm the system, but to support an existing biological process. 1 tablespoon at the wrong time does very little. 1 tablespoon at the right time extends a powerful internal state that would otherwise shut down. This is why adding it to meals weakens the effect. With food, insulin rises and the benefit becomes diluted. Without food, the body responds with improved sensitivity and stability. The method itself is simple, but simplicity does not mean carelessness. 1 tablespoon is enough. More does not mean better. Mixed in a full glass of water, it becomes gentle rather than harsh. This dilution protects the teeth and the throat. Drinking it straight is unnecessary and can damage enamel over time. The goal is support, not irritation. Taking it first thing in the morning works best because this is when insulin is naturally lowest for most people. This timing extends the overnight fasting state just a little longer, allowing fat burning and autophagy to continue instead of being interrupted immediately. Consistency matters because hormones respond to patterns, not one-time actions. A single morning does very little. Repeated mornings create adaptation. Over time, insulin sensitivity improves. Blood sugar handling becomes smoother. The body learns that it does not need constant insulin spikes to function. This is not an aggressive intervention. It is a gentle nudge that compounds. It is also important to understand what this habit does not do. It does not burn fat overnight. There is no sudden drop in weight from this alone. It does not cancel poor food choices later in the day. It does not replace balanced meals, adequate protein, or movement. It does not reverse long-standing insulin resistance by itself. That process takes time and multiple supportive habits. What this does is reduce resistance. It removes friction. It makes fat loss feel less forced. Hunger becomes easier to manage. Energy becomes steadier. Cravings lose intensity. The body stops pushing back as hard.
Fat loss works best when the body cooperates instead of defending stored energy. This habit helps create that cooperation. Fat loss is not about punishment. It is not about constant restriction. It is about signaling. Hormones listen to signals, not intentions. Insulin controls the main switch between storage and release. When insulin stays elevated, fat stays locked. When insulin drops regularly, fat becomes available. Lower insulin allows autophagy to run, and autophagy improves insulin sensitivity in return. This creates a positive cycle. A small habit done at the right time helps start that cycle. The body is designed to adapt when given the right conditions. It knows how to regulate weight when hormones are aligned. Letting biology do the work means removing obstacles instead of adding pressure. This approach respects how the body functions rather than fighting it.
Fat loss becomes easier when the body is allowed to work the way it was designed to work. Small habits done consistently can shift hormones, improve balance, and remove the constant struggle that so many people face. Nothing in this video was about shortcuts or extremes. It was about understanding the system and working with it instead of against it. If this explanation helped you see fat loss in a clearer, more realistic way, support the channel by liking the video. It helps this message reach more people who need it. Subscribe to the channel for science-based health content that focuses on real mechanisms, not hype. And if you know someone who keeps doing everything right but still struggles with fat loss, share this video with them. No exaggeration, no false promises, just facts that help the body cooperate.